Have you ever found yourself, kind of caught in that maze of government services? Maybe a website that just feels impossible,
Hmm.
or being stuck on hold forever for something simple.
Oh, definitely, that frustration.
Right. That feeling of not being heard. It's more than just annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
It taps into something really fundamental,
Yeah.
our need for security and, well, our trust in the institutions meant to serve us.
Exactly.
So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the evolution of citizen trust in the state and the future of government-citizen relations.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. Our mission here is to unpack this really interesting article from CEO World Magazine.
Right.
It's by Fotis Pantopoulos, who's a communications specialist.
Hmm.
And he really zeroes in on what the state is, how citizen trust shapes society, what breaks that trust down, and crucially, how we might start rebuilding it.
Yeah.
We want to understand that core relationship.
And the article really frames trust not just as like a nice to have, but as the absolute foundation, the social currency, you could say, of a working democracy.
Beautiful currency, I like that.
Yeah, it's that unspoken agreement, right? That lets us work together in ways laws alone just can't manage. Without it, the whole thing starts to unravel.
That's a really key point. And the author, Pantopoulos, he talks about seeing this firsthand in Greece. But he's quick to say, look, this isn't just a Greek problem, it's global.
Absolutely. These are universal challenges.
He mentions getting messages about, quote, malfunctions of government services and this real incompatibility between services.
That sounds familiar.
You know that feeling, right? One department has no clue what the other's doing. Or you hit this wall of red tape for something that seems like it should be straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
The article highlights these everyday frustrations, the sheer complexity of the task, services being understaffed, or
Yeah.
those infamous long wait times.
And it's important to ask why these seemingly small things matter so much. It's because they add up.
Right.
Each bad experience, that confusing form, the hold music, the disconnected service, it's not just an irritation. It's like a tiny crack in that foundation of trust.
Or crack, yeah.
Yeah. And over time, enough cracks, well, they become a serious problem. People lose faith not just in one specific service, but in the government's basic ability or even willingness to help them. It's a slow erosion.
So, okay, thinking about that, the article asks a really basic question. What is the state in this context?
What are we actually talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It defines it as the body that governs a country, delivering services usually through, state-owned enterprises or agencies, all funded by taxation.
These essentials.
Yeah, the things we rely on: healthcare, education, Social Security, transportation, law enforcement. It covers so much of life. And it links this straight to the idea of the welfare state, not just providing stuff, but the sort of social contract where the state aims to protect people from economic and social problems.
It's a huge responsibility when you frame it like that.
It really is.
And understanding that definition is key because it positions the state as this massive service provider funded by the citizens. So when these services affect your life so directly,
Your trust in them becomes incredibly personal.
exactly, it shapes your sense of security, your willingness to even participate in society. It's not abstract politics. It's about your lived experience.
And that lived experience brings us right to the core argument. People have a sense of security when they trust their government. That trust makes it easier to maintain a democratic society.
The flip side is just as true, unfortunately.
Right. Declining trust has this really negative impact. Citizens will not participate and contribute, you see, a lack of cooperation with state authorities. It even gets harder to collect taxes and deliver services. It becomes a vicious cycle.
A downward spiral.
Yeah. The article argues pretty strongly that public service effectiveness is directly tied to a high level of trust. And that trust, it's built up slowly through the consistency of the state.
Consistency is crucial.
It really hammers home that consistency isn't just about being efficient. It's the bedrock of trust. One bad, inconsistent experience can undo years of good work. Rebuilding is much harder.
So what's really at stake? Trust isn't just about feeling good. It's vital for stability, for participation. Without it, a government kind of loses its social license to operate, that unspoken public acceptance.
Social license, right.
Yeah. And when people check out or resist, democracy weakens, and the state can't really do its main job, serving the people.
So, okay, the challenges are clear. The big question then is, what actually makes someone trust or, distrust these services?
What are the levers?
Exactly. Pantopoulos breaks it down. First, that complexity of the task we mentioned. If it's too hard, trust drops. Then proximity of servant delivery points. Are services actually accessible?
Physically accessible?
And then,
Yeah.
crucially, the consistency and interoperability of services without contradictions and functional gaps. Meaning, do different parts of the government actually talk to each other?
Or do you have to tell your story over and over?
Precisely. Avoid those silos. Then, of course, the basic quality of service delivery matters hugely. And finally, the level of citizen engagement. Do people feel involved?
And you can see how these play out, can't you? Think about trying to get, say, a permit and needing forms from 3 different offices that don't coordinate.
Ugh, nightmare.
Right, the complexity, the lack of interoperability, it just destroys trust immediately. Or think about living far from the nearest government office. That lack of proximity feels like neglect.
It sends a message.
It really does. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're people's actual experiences, shaping how they view the government's trustworthiness overall.
So with trust seeming so, well, fragile sometimes, how do we start fixing this? Especially now, in the era of social media.
Where information and misinformation spreads instantly.
Exactly. The article notes something interesting. People can almost create their own realities now by filtering information. How does a government even cut through that noise?
It's a huge communication challenge.
Well, the author suggests one path. Governments should try to increase citizen trust in service delivery by using new technologies, things like chatbots, AI assistants, virtual agents.
Meeting people where they are digitally.
Yeah, moving beyond just phone calls or emails, using the tools people expect now for instant answers.
Makes sense.
But it's broader than just tech. The bigger idea is creating a sustainable model for increasing citizen trust in partnerships between citizens and governments.
Partnerships. That sounds key.
It does. It means governments need to be more transparent, accountable, and responsive. And importantly, actually work with communities and citizens, like real collaborators.
So the tech isn't just about efficiency. It's about being more responsive, more accessible, maybe?
I think so.
But that deeper point about partnership, that feels really important. Trust isn't built just by sending out information.
No, it's a two-way.
Right. It grows when governments genuinely ask for input, when they're open about how decisions are made, and when they actually show they're accountable. It's about making citizens feel heard and valued, like they're part of the process.
So pulling it all together, the article has some really strong takeaways for governments and for us as citizens. It reminds us, citizens' trust in the state is a measure of how much faith people have in their government and its institutions. High trust means believing they're working in your best interest.
Believing they'll follow through.
Exactly. And the key ingredients for that trust: a solid track record in delivering on its promises and real transparency in how things are done.
Consistency and openness.
Yeah. Ultimately, citizen trust and smoothly working services aren't just nice additions. They're absolute cornerstones of democracy.
Foundational.
And the article's pretty blunt about where negative feelings often come from. Those everyday experiences, people just feeling like their voices are not heard or that their problems are not solved.
Which really highlights that trust is reciprocal, isn't it? It's not just about the state acting trustworthy.
Right.
It's about citizens feeling like their input matters, like their problems are actually being tackled. That active listening part, making people stakeholders, not just recipients. That's where trust is truly built or broken.
Okay, so thinking about that connection, if trust is so tied to feeling heard and seeing problems solved, here's a thought to leave with. How might new tech, AI communications tools, going beyond just delivering services, how might they fundamentally change the dialogue itself?
Reshape the conversation between citizens and government.
Yeah, maybe opening up totally new ways to participate to solve problems together.
That's a fascinating question. And maybe adding to that, what's our role then as citizens? How do we actively use these new channels, if they emerge, to make sure our voices aren't just, logged somewhere, but actually acted on?
Right. How do we actively participate in strengthening that bond of trust from our end?
Lots to think about there.